Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Charlotte Brown, and on today's show, we are talking with Northwest Employment Works. My guests today are Terry Joseph. Terry is the Job Development and Employer Recruitment and Training Advisor over at Northwest Employment Works, and Darlene Wilson. And Darlene's in charge of job search, employment, and career specialist. So welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about what Northwest Employment Works, also known as NEW, is. Who's going to answer?
I'll answer. Northwest Employment Works is actually a community resource agency. It's under the Employment Ontario umbrella. It's a free organization that's open to employers and the general public to come in with their employment needs. So if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for retraining and need some direction, employers looking to help with recruitment, that's what we're there for.
Awesome. And let's talk a little bit about the employment situation in Thunder Bay. So do we have a high unemployment rate? Do we have a low unemployment rate? How many people do you kind of service in a year?
In a year, last year was well over 1,000 people that we saw. We expect about 1,400 this year.
Wow.
Not everyone requires more of assisted service. Sometimes they can just go and access our resource center to use our computers. There's photocopying and printing. There's also our job boards so they can access and see industry specific who's hiring. In terms of, lost my train of thought.
The unemployment rate, I think Thunder Bay is kind of below average. So, but approximately the number last year was approximately 8,000 people unemployed in Thunder Bay.
Wow, that's a big amount of people though. So I'm sure you're busy all the time.
We are.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the programs and the services that you offer.
In terms of our programs, the main role is employment service. So we provide anything from helping with your resume, helping with your cover letter, job application support, from identifying even how to prepare nowadays. It's so difficult because a lot of jobs are going through an applicant tracking system, and some people don't even realize that step is part of now the job search. And so just even giving people the information of what they need to get the job, that's what we're there for. So employment services helps the job seeker. It also helps the job developers, in Terry's case, working with employers to help recruit the best candidate. That is our main role. We have other programs like Second Career for anyone who is eligible because they've been laid off and potentially need retraining. They can come and access us and find out advice from that perspective. We also have Youth Job Link. We also have Canada Ontario Job Grant, and Terry can speak to those ones more about that.
Yeah, so we have additional offices in Dryden and Marathon, and under that umbrella, we offer the Youth Job Link program as one of the programs that is specifically directed towards supporting youth in employment. And Youth Job Link is for students that are currently in school that have limited or no work experience. So we try and match them with local employers in a position that they might be interested in to provide the opportunity for them to get in the door with an employer, and then support the job seeker however we need in terms of supports, if they need non-slip shoes, if it's a restaurant, if they need appropriate safety gear and that sort of thing. Along with Youth Job Link, there's also Youth Job Connection and Summer Youth Job Connection, which our Thunder Bay office doesn't offer, but our Dryden and Marathon offices offer. That is specifically for youth that have barriers to employment. And there's an in-class, in-workshop component where there's job readiness training modules and support to help these individuals learn life skills, I guess, based on job search and being ready to work. And then there's a placement component for that with employers where a training incentive would be offered.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about a definition of youth. So are these maybe students that are still going to school, recent graduates? Are these maybe some youth that maybe have dropped out of school and they're looking for employment? Like, is this
Yeah, the programs kind of catch all of those. Youth Job Link is specifically for students that are still in school. So it's primarily high school students because generally the younger 15, 16 haven't worked before, but we also do support college students and university students that have never worked before either. They would fall into that catchment because the age is 15 to 29. The Youth Job Connection programs are for those that are not in school and that have those barriers to employment, so they don't have their high school component. They have some other barriers in terms of transportation and other issues that kind of stand in their way in terms of them being able to find employment or maintain employment on their own.
Right. And let's talk about the employer side of that. So is there maybe some incentive programs that are appealing to employers to be able to hire youth, or?
Yeah, with Youth Job Link, we provide a hiring incentive to the employer or supports to the job seeker based on the situation. So if an employer takes on a youth that's in school that's never worked before, we'll work with them to determine what the needs are. For Youth Job Connection, there is a subsidized placement portion after the youth complete the kind of workshops, the one-on-one counseling and job readiness support. And I think the placement is 6 to 8 weeks where they would receive a portion of the wage at the end.
Right. And let's talk about some of those workshops that these, I take it, are free of charge for youth to be able to maybe get some additional skills, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have a whole suite of workshops available. In Thunder Bay, we do a lot of online workshop modules that have been provided by an outside agency that provides employment supports throughout Ontario on relevant subjects such as
Digital dirt.
As well as online job search. In addition to, we also provide resume workshops at our center, job search workshops, workshops on apprenticeship, workshops on second career, and
Career development.
And career assessments.
Yeah, and apprenticeships as well.
Okay, so you mentioned digital dirt. I'm curious as to kind of what that's all about.
Digital dirt is what is your social media presence? And a lot of employers are using that as a way of looking for the best candidate, right? Because a lot of times you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have Twitter. They're using that to determine how are you marketing yourself? What would you say? Could you say something that would be offensive or that would be a blemish to them as an employer? And I've worked with some individuals that they've lost their jobs because of what they have said. And for the same reason, some people have lost employment opportunities because of pictures that they put on or what they've said.
Mm-hmm. Well, and many employers do reference checks that way now. They'll check and they'll Google the individual's name, and whatever you put on the internet stays on the internet. So it's important to note that. It's also an important suggestion that if you are going to be job seeking, that you have a separate Facebook page or profile for that, a separate LinkedIn page for that information, or you refrain from posting questionable things on Facebook. You stop and think first, who's going to see this and how will this impression be made?
Yeah, very important, and just to show how much times have changed, you know,
Absolutely.
from applying for a job even 10 years ago, you know, these things weren't there, and now it really affects being able to get a job and, you know, access to employment, all that kind of stuff for sure. Well, I think we're going to take a quick break before we get into maybe some of the other programs, but we'll be right back with Darlene and Terry and talk more about Northwest Employment Works.